What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. As you can see from those first couple clips, I have powder coated some parts, including the intake manifold, and I have that Boomba throttle body all disassembled. So my plan for today is to continue on powder coating pieces that need to be refinished. Obviously this doesn't need to be refinished, but I would like it to be black because it will match the gold manifold. This turned out okay. I'm not 100% happy with it. Yeah, it's just, I think I should have sanded it a little bit more smooth because the spots where the powder laid down smoother was kind of what I was going for, like right here and right in here. But you know, the manifold is like pretty textured, so I'm not really sure how smooth I would be able to get it. It does look nice, and it will look good against the World Rally Blue. You can kind of get an idea when I set it up against the engine bay there. And then these parts right here, these are the brackets that go from the up pipe flange for where the turbo mounts to the engine block, so that when the engine shifts in the engine bay, you don't put a bunch of load on that up pipe. And this is done with a color by Prismatic powder called Blackjack. And man, it really gives like a nice flat OEM finish. I'm super happy with it. I didn't really try to get any of this pitting out of the metal, which is why it's textured in those spots. But man, imagine if I had and all of it looked like it does like right here, it would look brand new. I'm not worried about it though, because you don't see it in the engine bay once they're mounted up. So these were the first pieces that I tested with this new powder that I got, and I am very happy with it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this color on the Boomba throttle body. And before I disassembled that throttle body, I actually called the company because there's like these grooves in the back of this piece right here, and if it'll focus, and there's like these seals that sit in there, but they're just little seals, kind of like a O-ring material. There's another one that goes on the front of the throttle body right there in that groove, and then one on the back. So I just wanted to call them and make sure that that those could be removed and they're not like permanently attached, and that if I did tear one that I could get replacements. And they confirmed all that stuff, that they are in fact removable, and they are actually even reusable if they're in good shape, and if not, they do sell replacements. So after that, I kind of told them what my plan was with this thing, and then they told me that they don't recommend powder coating these because it can change the tolerances of the mounting surfaces and potentially would cause it to leak. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna powder coat it anyway. And so, you know, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mask off the mating surfaces, and we're not gonna lay powder there. I am gonna sandblast them because this one turned out so nice on this mating surface. I tested it, and I could just gently spray all of that anodized color off, and it left this surface just so nice that honestly I think it will be better once these surfaces are cleaned up. So, and I guess anodizing is so thin that it really shouldn't change the tolerance just to take it off. I believe it's kind of like Cerakote, where anodizing can go over any part where the tolerances are super important. Now, obviously Cerakote would probably be the preferred method to change the color on this thing, but you know, I already have powder and I don't want to spend money on that when I could be spending money on other stuff that I actually need for the car. So we're just gonna do powder, and we're gonna mask off all of those surfaces. Before I jump in, I just wanna show you, I finally got my little barrel blaster. This thing is awesome. So I'm not supported by this company. Almost got the Harbor Freight one. And then after looking around, I realized that in order to make the Harbor Freight one work well, you have to do a bunch of modifications to it, and you end up spending a bunch of money trying to get it to work as well as it can possibly work, because I guess out of the box, those things don't really perform that well. So I searched around and I found this guy. He makes all of these himself in Texas. So this thing's so nice, man. This little grate right here picks up, put all your material down in there. I've had zero issues with the pickup pulling the blasting media up. yeah, it's just super neat little design. And the fact that he does it out of like a big oil drum is super creative. But yeah, it's got this attachment up here too. So I hooked the shop vac to it and it basically just sucks all of the dust. And so we don't get a bunch of like dust built up in the garage. And yeah, it's super nice. The only issue I've been running into is my compressor is not really designed for something like this. It works fine for small parts like this, but this manifold took me days to sandblast because paint that was on there was pretty thick. And this thing, when I was blasting, I could go for like maybe 5-ish minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on like whether I was just holding the trigger down or whether I was kind of like squeezing it like and letting off. And it took like 3 days of basically sandblasting for 5 to 10 minutes, stepping away to let the compressor recharge, coming back, carrying on, and then just working on something else in between while the compressor was recharging. So definitely not ideal, but like I said, for these smaller pieces, even this bracket right here, somewhat larger, like a medium-sized piece, maybe small to medium. This didn't take long. I did have to do it in 2 sessions. So basically about 5 or 10 minutes, take a break, come back, and then I had to finish it in another 5 or 10 minutes. And it looked so clean. Like there was not a speck of like grease or surface rust or anything on this when I was done blasting it. The manifold, yeah, I took my time and it was over like 3 days of kind of like going back and forth between working on it and then working on something else while the compressor recharged. But I got it done and then got it powder coated, and it looks better than it did, but yeah, like I said, I'm not 100% happy with it. I may actually just try to remask it off again and put another coat down of that gold, because I have done that before, like on those brake calipers. That's what I did. They looked a little rough after the first round, and so I did another round and they looked way better. So maybe that would happen with the manifold, but like I said, that metal's pretty textured, so I'm not totally sure. But I do have still like quite a bit of gold powder, so I might just give it a shot. But anyway, let me jump in and let's start getting these parts all sandblasted and masked up so that we can lay down some of that black jacket. Another little guy. All right guys, so I finally finished blasting all of the pieces for the throttle body. I decided to do my fuel rails as well. These are IAG fuel rails. They were also red, and I just don't like the red anodized color, it turns out. It seems like it's really hard for the anodizing to be consistent. So like, for instance, this part was like lighter red than the rest of these pieces, and then the fuel rails were like a different red than these pieces, but it looked like they were supposed to be like the same shade. So yeah, we're just gonna redo the fuel rails in black as well. So now I am just going to mask them off with this tape right here. This is like a high temp masking tape. You definitely need something like this if you're going to do powder coat jobs at home in your own oven, because regular masking tape will obviously just melt. We're gonna do that. I will put a link to that kind of tape in the description. You can get it on Amazon, it's pretty damn cheap. So without further ado, let's mask this up, and then we will string these up on some stainless steel wire and get them hung up of our little oven racks right here that I've already wire wheeled so that we're down to bare metal in the spots where we're gonna hang. And then we will put them in the oven for the pre-bake cycle. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to mask up most of the mating surfaces. Because I definitely, that's a really dirty piece, because I definitely do not want there to be any leaks on this. So, and I think it should be fine to leave the mating surfaces in this just raw metal, because it is aluminum, so it should be fine. Aluminum doesn't really rust all that easily, if at all. I still have my OEM throttle body, so If this whole thing fails and doesn't work out, it'll kind of be a bummer because was a perfectly usable part, but it's not like I won't be able to get the car up and running. And to be honest, this isn't gonna affect horsepower. I'm not gonna get more horsepower out of putting this throttle body on. It will definitely improve throttle response, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna do anything for horsepower. Yeah, this high temp masking tape too is not the easiest stuff to work with. So, like when I first got some of it, I kind of thought it was like a bad batch or something. Because it wouldn't stick very well, but then I realized like you just have to have the part like super clean. Once you heat it up, it actually adheres even better. So once it goes in the oven for the pre-bake cycle, I've noticed that when I pull it out, it seems like the masking tape is a lot more adhered to the surface, I guess. Sort of a funny design that they have to like stack all these parts together. It's cool that someone figured it out, how to do it. All right guys, so there they are. I got all of the pieces masked up and hanging from the oven rack with stainless steel wire. And just a little FYI, if any of you are gonna start doing powder coat jobs like this at your own place, if you use these wire racks, I would just make sure to like wire wheel them or blast them or something. You could even use sandpaper just to get, because the powder coat ends up adhering to the rack because it is metal. So when you spray parts, it ends up collecting onto the rack. And if it gets too thick, you basically aren't gonna get good grounding. So I've wire wheeled everywhere where these are hanging really well on the top and bottom, so we should be good to go. And the oven is preheating at 350 degrees. So now I'm just going to toss these in there for their little pre-bake cycle. I'm not exactly sure what the pre-bake cycle does. I do know that like it gets any like, I don't know, like impurities off of the metal. It's called like the gas out phase. I don't know. Make of that what you will, but yeah, so there they are. We're gonna let them sit in there. I think you wanna do like a good 20 minutes at 350. And I probably showed this to you guys before on the channel, but it's not just like put them in when the oven's at 350 for 20 minutes. You actually want the parts to get up to 350 degrees. So the way you do that is with a little infrared thermometer like this. So you can basically open the door, shoot them, see how hot they're getting, and then once they hit that temperature, then you start your timer. It's the same way with the powder, and it's really extra important with the powder because it won't cure if you just throw it in. So if it says 400 for 10 minutes, if you just throw it in once the oven reaches 400 and just set a timer for 10 minutes, it's not gonna be long enough for that powder to flow out and actually cure, so it's gonna look funny. So you need to just like keep checking it periodically, shoot it with the infrared thermometer, and once it hits that, then you start your timer. It's been a few minutes, let's see where they're at. $225, getting close. All right, so I'm just getting the gun all set up over here, and so this is the powder. What's really cool is they always put a label on the bags. It shows the color, it shows the cure schedule. It'll just tell you 15 minutes at, like this one says 375. So, and it says right here, cure time begins once part reaches temperature. So it's super easy because you always have it right there. So I really like that about this company. I don't have anything to compare it to though, as far as like the quality of the powder goes. It seems really high quality. And every time I've ordered something from them, it's come super fast. And this stuff seems to last. Like I've had this gold color for a long time now. And I even experimented with it and powder coated like 4 stock 16-inch Subaru wheels. And they turned out like crap because I didn't know what I was doing. But I used a lot of powder to do those, and I've still been able to powder coat several things since then, and I still have a bunch left. So it does last a while. It's definitely not, I wouldn't say that it's cheap, but it's not that expensive. And it depends on the color. This blackjack color, it must just be like easier for them to make it or something, because it's like really affordable. This stuff, I think I got this whole bag. I want to say this whole bag cost me 40 or 50 bucks, which, man, I'll be able to do a lot of parts with that, like a ton. And I mean, like, as you can see right here, like, see how much I have in there? That'll easily coat all those parts, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'll be shocked if it doesn't. Just a little info on the powder, in case any of you out there are interested. I will also put a link to all this stuff in the description. I don't necessarily recommend this gun unless you're on an extreme budget. It was pretty cheap. I think it's like $150 or less maybe even now. But it's just kind of cheap, man. Like, I've had to glue the lid right here because it keeps cracking, and then it leaks once it does that, and it's kind of annoying. So like, some powder kind of comes out of the gun right there where it still has the crack. And I've been able to get it pretty sealed, but it's just never gonna be perfect. And I've glued it probably 5 times now. So that's kind of a bummer. I didn't even really do anything. I just was unscrewing it when I first got the thing and it cracked it. So yeah, it's just kind of cheap. I don't love this thing. I just know there are better options. So, but I'll still link this anyhow in case you are on a budget. I do think it's a good gun for the price. But just know, like, you gotta be kind of delicate with it. And there are other guns that you can do a much better job with. A good gun's not necessarily going to give you a good result. You still need to like develop the skill and understand how to use it. So, but yeah, anyway, so let's, I'm gonna get this attached to the gun here. I've got our table outside. I've been doing this stuff outside now because this powder gets everywhere. It'll go like across the garage, even if I'm just spraying at like 10 PSI. It just floats up in the air and just goes everywhere. But yeah, there's our gun. All right, so our parts are just chilling. I'm going to let them cool down. I do think it's smart to allow your parts to cool. I think that there is a technique, I forget what it's called, where you pull it out and while it's still hot, you coat them, and it does something with the powder and, like, I don't know, I guess can make it adhere a little bit better or something. But I think it's pretty easy to mess things up when you do that, and the powder can start doing some funny things. So I'm not going to do that because I don't really know much about that technique and I don't want to mess it up.
Run it up, Kel.
I ain't gotta brag, let my money do the talking. No employees, nigga, I was raised around the bosses. Niggas wanna fuck, but they can't afford a coffin. Poppin', niggas steady watching. Louis on my feet, coming sockets in my pockets. Thought it was a room, nah, nigga, this my closet. Broke the money counter, I got rich, nigga, problems. Shit out by the biz, nigga, shit out by the Audi. Chillin' on the jet, now it's cloudy. Hit another state for a day, then I'm outie. I remember I was only popping in the county. Nah, nigga, always lose count when I'm counting. How the fuck you still ain't touched 10, niggas childish? Working OT every week 100 hours. Say I'm acting funny, wait till I drop the album. I'm a player, got hella flavor. Phones in a bucket, everybody sign a waiver. Nigga signed, only got a chain, nigga slaving. Signed to myself every week, that's a payment. Made it, nerd niggas hating. Money stacking up, I ain't even gotta save it. Niggas fake, I can't even trust them when they bang it. Got a lot of change, but I'm still not changing. Don't call me to link up, I ain't hanging. 4 deep, no strap, niggas playing. If rap don't work, then it's back to the basics. Nigga to my swag, I ain't mad, I embrace it. Don't believe the gram is a whole lot of fake in a bag or the clout. What the fuck you niggas chasing? Me, I be trying to give motivation. Shit ain't gon' happen overnight, have patience. Buzzing, nigga, I be thumbing. Niggas hella cheap, they be ballin' on the budget. 50 pop on me right now, that ain't nothing. Before I let a bitch play a nigga, I'm a dummy. Ain't finna talk about it, niggas know how I'm coming. Got the cheat codes, I just gotta.
Alright, let's have a little peek, see what the temp's at. Ooh, it's looking all glossy. 300 on that part, which is so weird. That part's just not getting hot enough. And yeah, the rest of it is up to temp now. Well, I guess that back piece isn't. Man, really hard to get these pieces up to 375, turns out. It looks really glossy. I tripped out the first time I used this color because I thought it wasn't gonna be a flat color when I opened it up to check the temp, but it just flows out and it gets really flat and starts looking like this stuff. So yeah, mine did the same thing last time. And so if you get this color and you notice that, don't worry, just let it keep doing its thing and trust the process. Oh yeah, those look nice. Check out that nice OEM spec flat black. I swear, man, it looks like a factory color. It's so good. This is definitely one of my favorites so far. Yeah, look at that piece right there. Yeah. Dang. Fuel rails also turned out nice. Whew, man. Really cool. Pretty dang happy with that. So I'm just gonna let these cool down and then we can reassemble this throttle body and then we will throw it on the gold manifold and have a look with it all paired together. All right guys, so all of the pieces are all cured up and they look really nice. I did start assembling stuff, as you can see. I just cut the rod through this part with the little bearings pressed in on the side. And then I got the little spring, which was really difficult to figure out how it goes in there. But if you can look at that, you can, if you ever are doing one of these, if you just look at those little ends of the spring that are sticking out, that's kind of the orientation you're going for. So, but yeah, it works. Like I can feel the spring in there on this side. Working really well. And so yeah, now I just got the manifold set up on my TGVs. I just wanted to mock this up real quick. I'm gonna reassemble all this and then we'll mount it up on the manifold just because I want to see what it looks like. I'm not totally sold on this gold color yet. I think it looks a little funny. I don't know why. I mean, like the finish turned out pretty good. It's not so much that, but I don't know, maybe it needs like a clear over it or something. It just, I can't help but feel like when I look at it, it sort of looks like a rattle can job, and that is not what I wanted. I think it might just be the texture of the manifolds. They're not smooth, and mine, I didn't really try to get it smooth. I just left it, like you can see this little divot right there. Didn't even try to get that out. But yeah, I'm not sure. I am debating on whether to leave it gold or just get a red wrinkle finish from Prismatic powders because they make a really good one that matches pretty damn close to the OEM wrinkle red. And yeah, I'm not sure. I thought the gold with the World Rally Blue would be kind of like a classic color combo. And I know it's not that important. I get it. But yeah, you know, I just like stuff to look visually pleasing. And I did want to refinish this because the paint was chipping off it. So yeah, you know, had the gold, so I gave it a go. But I don't know, let's see what happens when we put all of this together and slap it on there. Maybe I'll change my mind. So I have already gone ahead also and put all of these seals back in. I got the seal around here on the back side, and then there's one here as well. And honestly, they were all pretty easy. They did go right back in. This was the only part so far with this rod and getting the spring with this piece on there correctly. I was kind of like just floundering through it, but I did figure it out. So yeah, let's just keep assembling this thing. I did clean the, this is the idle air control valve. They get super mucked up inside of here. So if you ever have this off the car, highly, highly recommend cleaning it out as best as you possibly can. Like get in there and try to get as much of that grime as you possibly can, because your car will probably idle a lot more consistently and a lot nicer. And then one of these is the throttle position sensor, or maybe both of them are sensors for throttle position. I'm not sure. I thought this was the position sensor because it goes on the other side of this rod. And that would make sense. Yeah, let's throw the sensors on first. That'll be a good starting point. Got all of our hardware here. Have to figure out where it goes. Shouldn't be too bad. I believe this one, I think it goes right like this. It only really fits one way where the openings are lined up. Let's check the other side. Yeah, so it's like this. And then those screws, these little longer Allen heads. So that's what it should look like. You can see all the way through both sides of these passages. If it's not lined up correctly, you won't be able to see all the way through. It'll be pretty clear that it's on there wrong. This sensor just pops right in here, but you gotta kind of push it down until you hear it kind of click. And those screws are similar. I think they're these. Are there only two of these? Yep, it's gotta be these then. Let's go right in here as well. And the other thing is, like, I have no idea like how much torque to put on these, and there's no way I would have a bit even small enough to put on a torque wrench. I don't even know if they make a bit this small, but I'm just gonna kind of snug them up. I imagine they don't need to be like crazy tight because this is a soft aluminum piece with some really small bolts. And a quick tip on these idle air control valves when you're either taking them off or reinstalling them. So the screws, they can take a Phillips, but they're one of those screws where like one side is longer for a flathead and then it has like the shorter side where you could get a Phillips in there. These screws are notorious for stripping out. The metal is just really soft on the head of the screw, and I don't know what it is about these, but they get stuck often and they don't want to come out when trying to like service this piece, like either clean it or switch it out. So the best advice I've come across for these screws is to get yourself a big ass flathead like this one, and you want it to have a pretty like fat end to it, like a thick end, and you just put that thing in there and if you're trying to get it off, put a ton of pressure on it, like as much as you possibly can, and keep trying until you break it loose, and just go really slow and try to be patient, and do not strip these out. You do not want to strip them out. It sucks. It's a big old pain in the booty. Just wanted to share that with you guys because that is a common complaint on these cars. People go to clean that piece because it usually fixes idle problems if you can just clean it out, and they strip these and then they can't get it off. They do have a specific torque spec, but there's no way you're gonna ever get it to the right torque spec because you gotta use this tool. So you just kind of have to like get it on there nice and snug. I've never had an issue doing it. I've cleaned lots of them, so it seems to be the best way. Grab our screege. Get it tight enough to where you feel good about it, but not so tight to where you're also confident that you'll be able to loosen it again. There we go. I'm just gonna put these little screws back in. I'll probably replace these screws. I actually drilled out the back of them because they were kind of like punched so they couldn't back out. But I just want to put them in here for now, just so it holds that butterfly in place, so we can make sure we get everything put back together properly. And then, bam. All right, so. You know, I've been considering port matching this too, because if you look, there's like this little ridge from the manifold. and air's gonna like hit that and it'll cause like some turbulent flow. I mean, it's not like a huge deal because it's just like 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, something like that. I have cleaned the inside of the manifold pretty damn well, but I need to clean it even better. And I just need to make sure that I got all of the little bits of sand out of there from when we blasted this thing. So I'm just kind of snugging it up. I'm not getting it super tight and I'm not worried about torque specs right now. This piece goes just like this. And I purposefully powder coated, left these little bolts in place while powder coating this thing because I knew this piece would also get powder coated and I thought it would look kind of nice with the gold screws. Those right in here. Wow, these threads feel really gummed up. I'm not going to force these in right now, especially if I have to take this off anyway. I think I need to clean these threads out. They feel really sticky. Let's throw these on. Those look way better. I did not like that color. I was not very happy with it. I don't know why I decided to go with that red with these with the IAG fuel rails that I bought. I had like a little red theme going in my engine bay, like red accents on that last build. And now I'm repurposing these fuel rails for this build, and yeah, the anodized red's kind of faded a little bit and it just never really looked that good to begin with. And so I'm much happier with this in the flat black with 0 branding. I don't like logos. I don't like branding. I understand why companies do it, but I just don't like it on my own personal stuff. Well, there it is, guys. Let me know what you think. And try to ignore the red flapper. I know that is a little off-putting and distracting, but yeah, what do you think? Do we stick with this or refinish this in a different color? Obviously has nothing to do with the performance of the car. It's all just cosmetic, but I don't know, for me, it matters. So let me know what your opinion is in the comment section below. I kind of just wanted to do something a little bit more simple for this video, which is why I decided to just kind of work on some smaller pieces and get things refinished. Plus, I was really psyched to use my barrel blaster. I'm telling you guys, if you're in the market for a sandblaster, this one's really good. Their customer service is amazing. And so I am glad that we have the ability to just refinish a lot of these smaller pieces, especially ones that are gonna be discontinued from Subaru. Who knows when, but it could be literally tomorrow on these GD chassis at least. Well, that's all I got for this one, guys. Thanks for joining. Please hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more on this build. There's a lot more to do, and with that said, I will catch you guys in the next video. On that video, I'm not really sure what we're gonna be doing yet. Probably stuff for like the chassis underneath, getting like the subframes remounted up, but I gotta refinish those as well first. So we'll be knocking that stuff out. And I have some really cool white line goodies that we're gonna be putting in this car. I got like a whole kit from them, sway bars, end links, all that good stuff. So we're gonna have some really solid suspension setup on this car. But yeah, peace out, everybody. See you next time.